Hello everybody, this is Florida Man, and in this video, I'll be telling you my predictions of the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. Man, I'm so excited for these playoffs. A lot of big hits, a lot of great goals. It's going to be so much fun to watch. Now, before I begin, if I have your favorite team bowing out in the first round or something like that, please do not leave a hateful comment or dislike the video. If you disagree with my picks, just tell me your picks in the comment section below. Now, let's begin. Starting with the Colorado Avalanche versus the Nashville Predators. In this series, I don't give the Predators a shot. I mean, they have Roman Josi and do have a good offense, but Colorado really has everything better times two. They have great offense. They have great defense. Cale Makar, one of the best defensemen in his generation. He almost scored 30 goals this season. Like, how is that even possible? And goaltending, well, I they say that UC Saros is better than Darcy Kemper. UC Saros is going to be injured for the first part of the series. So it's pretty much going to be Darcy Kemper versus David Riddick, which David Riddick has been awful this season, has below a 900 save percentage and above a 3 goals against average. I mean, who are you going to pick? A good starter who has above a 920 save percentage and below a 250 goals against average, or a backup goaltender that has a below 900 save percentage and above 3 goals against average? And what do I have to say more? I mean, Nathan MacKinnon is an absolute god. Mikko Rantanen, really great player. Gabriel Landeskog, a really great captain. I mean, and the depth on his teams was so good too. I mean, Colorado has one of the deepest teams in the NHL, and their defense is deep, their offense is deep, they have a great goaltender. This team is just really good. It's the real deal. And I think that the Colorado Avalanche will win the series in convincing fashion. I'll tell you my game amount once I finish the first round. So right now I'm going to tell you that I think the Colorado Avalanche will win the series against the Nashville Predators. Next up, I have the Minnesota Wild versus the St. Louis Blues. Man, it's going to be a good series. Two teams have great offense. Both teams have sturdy defense, and both teams have great goaltenders. And for some reason, I have a gut feeling right now. I have a gut feeling that the Minnesota Wild are going to go on a deep playoff run. I don't know what it is. I think maybe Marc-Andre Fleury is going to give the team some magic. I mean, he's won 3 cups before. He has a lot of experience. He can give the team some magic. I don't know. Maybe Kaprizov's just going to carry the team. But I just have this feeling that the Minnesota Wild is going to surprise a lot of people. And the St. Louis Blues, while they could easily take the series, it could go either way. I think the Minnesota Wild are going to beat the St. Louis Blues, and it's going to be a very close series. I can't wait to watch this one. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Next up, we have the Calgary Flames versus the Dallas Stars. Like the Nashville Predators, I really don't give the Dallas Stars a chance. I mean, really, same thing with Colorado. Calgary has the better offense than Dallas, has better defense than Dallas, and they have the better goaltender than Dallas. Markstrom is severely better than Onger, as Onger has been an okay goalie. Markstrom's just out of this world, Vezina candidate. I think he led the whole NHL in shutouts, so what can you do when you're Dallas? I mean, I definitely think Dallas is going to show some pushback, at least in the series. I think Miro Heiskanen is going to give the team a little bit of fight in them, but I don't see this series really being that much of a big problem for Calgary. I see the Flames winning the series in convincing fashion. Next up, we have the Edmonton Oilers versus the LA Kings. The LA Kings getting in their first playoff berth since 2018, and the Young Guns against Connor McDavid. I mean, it's closer than people say. I mean, I know Edmonton has Connor McDavid, and they have Leon Draisaitl, and they have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and they have Vander Kane. They have so many weapons up front, but look at each defense. Like, I know Doughty is not going to be there for the first for the series, but that doesn't mean that LA doesn't have a good defense. They still have a sturdy defense, and Edmonton, besides Darnell Nurse, all their offense is either my bad, all their defense is pretty much just offensive defensemen, and I don't know. I don't know. They got Duncan Keith, but he's really not that good anymore. He's not what he used to be. And also goaltending. Jonathan Quick has been a good goaltender this season. Mike Smith, up and down season. He's really hot right now. Maybe he can play really well in this playoffs. Better than he played last season against Winnipeg Jets. I also say it's gonna be a closer series than people say. I mean, Kopitar has been a really good captain for the team. A lot of good veterans on the team too, on LA as well, to help the young guns, work his shape into being a great team. But right now, I'm gonna give the edge to Edmonton. I mean, they have so many weapons up front that'd be too much to handle for LA. LA will put up a fight though. I think LA will put up a fight. I think they will push Edmonton to their limits. But we have Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I mean, you gotta win at least one round with those guys. And I think this year has to be the year. I mean, last season they got swept by the Winnipeg Jets. I do not think that's going to happen again. I think this is going to be a completely different series, and I think Edmonton's going to move on to the next round. Next up, we have the Florida Panthers versus the Washington Capitals. Same thing as Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators. I don't give the Capitals that much of a shot. I mean, they have Ovechkin, but I don't think he'll be starting the series in Game 1. They do have a lot of veterans who have won the Cup before, but, I mean, Florida, they have the deepest offense in the league. They have great defense behind that. Ekblad will be missing to start the series. He'll come back, I think, during the series, but I'll take Bobrovsky over Vitek Vanacek and Samsonov any day of the week. I mean, Bobrovsky, he's been really good goaltender this season. He's definitely redeemed himself. I mean, what can the Washington Capitals do? I mean, it's going to be... I mean, I really don't give Capitals a chance. Maybe the NHL has a lot of parity. I mean, anything could happen. But everything has to go right for the Capitals to even push the Panthers to their limits. So I think the Panthers are going to easily walk all over the Capitals. I'm sorry, Capitals fans, but I just feel like the Capitals just can't handle the firepower from the Florida Panthers. The goals that they score, I just don't see Florida Panthers really having that much trouble with the Capitals. Moving on, at the Tampa Bay Lightning versus Toronto Maple Leafs. Man, it's going to be a fun series to watch. Two high-flying offense, two sturdy defenses, and two great goaltenders going at it. And I think this is going to be a very close series, like everyone's saying. I mean, these two teams are very similar. They have very fast players. They have some great guys in the bottom six. They both have great defensemen. They both have great goaltenders. But I feel like the experience of the Tampa Bay Lightning is what's going to push them to win the series. I think this series is going to go very close. It's going to be a very close series. I think Toronto is going to push Tampa to their limits, but man, the experience that Tampa has, and Vasilevsky, I take Vasilevsky over Campbell any day of the week. He just won the Conn Smythe last season. I mean, Toronto has to figure out Vasi if they want to win the series. They have to figure him out. They have to, find his number. But I just feel like Tampa is just it's a user experience in the playoffs. I think they're gonna use their grit and they're gonna overpower the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are gonna beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Next up, we have the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Boston Bruins. Now, this is going to be I think this series is going to go very close. Both teams have great offense, have great defense. They both have sturdy goaltending. Anderson's one of the best goalies in the league. But here's what I've learned is that Frederick Anderson is not going to start the series. Is that because he's injured? And so it means Antti Ranta is going to be starting the series in Game 1, which kind of worries me for the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, they don't have... I mean, Antti Ranta is a good goalie, but in the playoffs, you need your best goalie to step up. And Antti Ranta, I don't know if he can play that role of being a playoff goalie. So, I don't know. I mean, there's so much experience on Boston, too. I think the Boston Bruins are going to beat the Carolina Hurricanes, honestly. I think they're going to upset them. Also, another reasoning for this is because in the past few seasons, there has been at least one wild card to beat the number 1 seed. And out of all wild cards, I feel like Boston Bruins have the best chance to move on to the second round. So I think the Boston Bruins are going to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. They're in a big upset, and it's going to be a lot of big discussion around Carolina this season if this happens. And the last series of the first round, the New York Rangers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Young Guns versus Old School. Crosby going up against Zibanejad, Panarin going up against Malkin, and this is going to be a great series. Both of them have great goaltending, both of them have great defense, and both of them have high-flying offenses. Now, all logic points towards Penguins winning the series because they have the better experience. They have great defense, they have great goaltending, they have great offense, they have more depth than the Rangers. They have severely more experience, like I said. I mean, this team has won back-to-back cups, and there's a few players that have been there when the Penguins won the cup in 2009. So, all logic points towards the Pittsburgh Penguins winning the series. But I feel like the Penguins are going to lose because of one guy, and his name is Igor Shesterkin. I feel like Igor Shesterkin is going to carry the New York Rangers on his back because he is by far the Vezina Trophy winner by a mile. He's one of the best goalies in the league. He's been the best goalie in the league for a long time now. I think the New York Rangers are going to win the series. I think it's going to be very close, though. I think it's going to be a very close series. And I think that Igor Shesterkin is going to be the deciding factor of the series, where Igor is going to carry the Rangers on his back and just absolutely be an MVP for the team, while Panarin and Zibanejad score the goals, and Kreider, get the rebounds and all that. And Adam Fox does defense work, does the power play specialist. I haven't even mentioned Adam Fox yet. He's one of the best defensemen in his generation. So I think that the New York Rangers are going to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. So, the game amount. So I think the Colorado Avalanche are going to sweep the Nashville Predators. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, they got Roman Josi. Shouldn't they at least fetch one game? Like I said, Colorado Avalanche have Camel Car, so that evens it out a little. And I really think that Colorado is just going to come out swinging. I think that they're going to just lay a beat down on the Nashville Predators. I think it's going to be over pretty quickly. Next up, Calgary and Dallas. I think Calgary's going to get done pretty quickly in 5 games. I think that one win's going to come from Miro Heiskanen stepping up, and guys like John Klingberg playing well. I feel like they're going to squeak out one game. I think Miro Heiskanen's going to play great defense, and it'll be that one game. I think it'll be at home too. But other than that, I think Calgary's going to get it done pretty quickly. The Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues, I think, like I said, this is going to be a very close series. I think it's going to a full 7 games. I think that home ice advantage and the experience from Marc-Andre Fleury and Kirill Kaprizov, the explosiveness of him, is going to make him win that Game 7 and move on to the next round. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Los Angeles Kings. I have the Edmonton Oilers winning in 6. I feel like the LA Kings are going to give a little bit of pushback. They're a feisty team. Their style is going to fit well in the playoffs. So I think Edmonton's going to have a little bit of a rough time getting the LA Kings out. But in the end, I think the Edmonton Oilers are going to finish off the Kings. The Florida Panthers and the Washington Capitals, I think, just like in the Dallas-Calgary series, I think the Capitals are going to get one win at their own home ice. I think it'll be like Ovechkin just having a day, and he'll just be like scoring those goals, those one-timers. I think John Carlson's going to get them that win as well. I think they'll get one win, but I don't. But then again, Florida Panthers, they're just too good. I don't think they can win more than just. I don't think they can win more than one. It'll be a miracle if they win more than one. The Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. I have the Boston Bruins winning in 6. I feel like with Frederik Andersen being out, I think the Boston Bruins are going to pounce on that, and they're going to get out to a very quick lead in the series. And once Frederik Andersen's back, the Carolina Hurricanes will fight back, but the Boston Bruins will just finish the series off before Carolina can get the series back to tie it. And I think the Bruins are going to finish it off in 6 games on home ice. The Tampa Bay Lightning versus Toronto Maple Leafs, like I said, another very close series. I think it's going to go down to the wire in 7 games. But I feel like Vasilevsky and his Game 7 performance, usually he does really well in Game 7s. I mean, he got a shutout against the New York Islanders in Game 7 last season. And I think Tampa urgency and their resilience, I think they're going to win the series in 7 games. The New York Rangers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I feel like that one's going to go 7 games too. I think it's going to be very close until Igor Shesterkin just steals Game 7 at home ice. So here's a bracket. I have the Colorado Avalanche beating the Nashville Predators in 4 games in a sweep. I have the Minnesota Wild beating the St. Louis Blues in 7 games. I have the Calgary Flames beating the Dallas Stars in 5 games. I have the Edmonton Oilers beating the Los Angeles Kings in 6 games. I have the Florida Panthers beating the Washington Capitals in 5 games. I have the Tampa Bay Lightning beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games. I have the Boston Bruins beating the Carolina Hurricanes in 6 games. And lastly, I have the New York Rangers beating the Pittsburgh Penguins in 7 games. So let's move on to the second round. Next up, we have the Colorado Avalanche versus the Minnesota Wild. Kind of like the New York Rangers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins series, all logic points to Colorado Avalanche winning the series. All logic. They have the severely better offense. They have the severely better defense, and they have the severely better goaltending. I just have some feeling that the Minnesota Wild are gonna pull some magic off, and I just feel like they're just gonna somehow pull off magic, and they're gonna go on a deep playoff run. I don't know why. All logic points are the Colorado Avalanche making it to the Western Conference Finals. I feel like this should be the year that they make it to the Western Conference Finals for the first time with this core. But I feel like the Minnesota Wild are going to upset the Colorado Avalanche in the second round, because I feel like the urgency that this offseason, that all that dead cap space will come out. I think that the urgency for the team will be like, we got to win the cup right now, or else it's going to get tougher as the years go on. I feel like that's what's going to push the team to win it this year. And I feel like that's cap space from Brian Suter and Zach Parise. I feel like that's going to push the team. And it's going to be like, oh, we got to win the cup this year, or else it's going to get, it's not going to happen ever. I mean, this is the best team we're going to have in a long time. And we should win this. We should win it right now. So I feel like the urgency of the Minnesota Wild and that flurry magic. I feel like that flurry magic that happened with the Vegas Golden Knights, and that flurry magic that happened in in 2009. I feel like Fleury is just gonna push the Minnesota Wild with his experience, and Kaprizov with his great shot and his great speed. I feel like the Minnesota Wild are gonna upset the Colorado Avalanche, and I'm pretty sure here come all the hate comments saying, "Oh no, Avalanche is clearly gonna win the series. They have the better goaltending. They have the better defense. They have the better offense. The Colorado Avalanche are obviously gonna win the series." I know all logic points to the Avalanche winning the series, but I think the Minnesota Wild are gonna prove people wrong. So I feel like the Minnesota Wild are gonna beat the Colorado Avalanche in a game amount. I feel like the Minnesota Wild are gonna get it done in 6 games. I feel like they're gonna get done on their home ice, and that stadium's gonna go wild after seeing that they're gonna upset the second place team in the league, the second best team in the league, and I feel like that crowd's gonna go nuts. As the Minnesota Wild move on to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in a long time, I think. Moving on, I have the Battle of Alberta, Calgary versus Edmonton. Please let this happen. This will be a absolute bloodbath. Fights every 30 seconds. And Kachuk dropping the gloves almost every single game. I think every single game he's going to be dropping the gloves. And this is going to be such a fun series to watch if it happens. Now, I feel like while McDavid and Draisaitl are obviously great players, they're two of the greatest players in the league. I feel like Calgary and their just how deep that team is. They have one of the deepest offense in the league. They have one of the deepest defense in the league. They have a great goaltender. That's something Edmonton can't say about any of that. They really don't have that deep of a team, and don't have that great of a goaltender, Mike Smith. I feel like Calgary's gonna win the series. It's gonna go all the way. I think it's gonna go 7 games because of just how fun the series is gonna go. I feel like the urgency of I need to be the king of Alberta. It's gonna strike both teams, and it's gonna go full 7 games. But I feel like Calgary in that barn in Calgary, I think that's going to give them a lot of determination to win the series. I think the Calgary Flames and that deep team is going to beat the Edmonton Oilers in 7 games. Next up, we have the Florida Panthers versus Tampa Bay Lightning. Please let this happen again. This series was so good last year, and I think it's going to be even better this year with the acquisitions that each team made. With Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul, both players kind of like the Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow, the new Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow of the team. Florida Panthers obviously getting Giroux and all that, and Chirot, whoever how you say his name, Chirot, who knows how to hit, and he's gonna probably get in a lot of scrums as well. It's pretty much the Battle of Florida. It's kind of I think it's gonna go 7 games this time, and I think at 7th game, I think Tampa is gonna find a way to win. I think they have the better goaltending, they have the better defense, and I think Florida has the better offense. I think they have a more resilient team, and they have the more experienced team. I feel like the Florida Panthers will lose to Tampa Bay Lightning, and I think the Tampa Bay Lightning will move on to their their third straight Eastern Conference Finals. Lastly, we have the Boston Bruins versus the New York Rangers. This one's going to be another tight one. Both teams have great offense. Both teams have great defense. Both teams have great goaltending. But I feel like, again, with Igor Shesterkin, I feel like Igor is going to carry that team. I feel like also Panarin's is going to go off. I feel like Zibanejad's going to score a lot of goals. Kreider's going to score a lot of goals. I feel like Kakko and Lafreniere are going to start blossoming finally in the playoffs. Barclay Goodrow's going to start. He's going to use his grittiness to his advantage and his playoff cup experience. And Adam Fox, what we had to say about that guy, he's a reigning Norris Trophy winner. I feel like the New York Rangers are going to prove a lot of people wrong by moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in, I think, was 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. For the first time in 8 years. So that's really exciting. And and it's going to be very fun series to watch. Those two teams, Boston and New York, if that matchup happens, it's going to be a very fun series to watch. So now, we have the Final Four teams set. We have the Minnesota Wild being the Colorado Avalanche, the Calgary Flames being the Edmonton Oilers, the Tampa Bay Lightning being the Florida Panthers, and the New York Rangers being the Boston Bruins. All right, the Western Conference Finals, we have the Minnesota Wild versus the Calgary Flames. Two teams that have great offense. Both teams have sturdy defense, and both teams have great goaltending. I feel like, again, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I feel like Minnesota has magic going on. I think Fleury is gonna use magic to carry the team like he did with Vegas. And I think Kaprizov is gonna go off. He's just gonna keep scoring goals. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I feel like the Minnesota Wild are gonna beat the Calgary Flames and move on to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in their franchise history. I know. The Minnesota Wild shouldn't be here. They should be out in the second round, maybe in the first round. But I just have this feeling that in the back of the head is that if they lose this year, they might never get a good chance like this ever again because of the dead cap. They might not get a chance like this for a long time. So I feel like that's going to give them a lot of power, a lot of hope and courage to go all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. And it's going to be very fun. I see the Minnesota Wild beating the Calgary Flames, and I'll say 6 games. I think Minnesota Wild will get it done on home ice, and the crowd will go wild. Literally, and pun intended. And it's been so much fun to watch. Now we have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals. By the way, I forgot to tell you the game amount for the New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins. I think the New York Rangers are going to beat the Boston Bruins. And I give Boston Bruins 7 games. I think Boston is not going to go down with easily. But anyway, now we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Tampa Bay Lightning versus New York Rangers, a rematch of the 2015 Eastern Conference Finals. And I feel like it's going to go the same way as that 2015 Eastern Conference Finals went. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to return to the Stanley Cup Final for the 3rd straight time. Because I know I've been saying that Shesterkin's going to carry the team and Panarin and all that. But I think that Vasilevsky in the playoffs is a different demon. I think that Vasilevsky is superior than Igor Shesterkin. I say that Stamkos is superior than Panarin, playoff Stamkos. And playoff Kucherov is better than Zibanejad. And Alex Killorn is superior than Chris Carey. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to beat the New York Rangers. Oops, sorry. Messed up. That don't look. I think I might just gave away my winner. Sorry about that. But I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to beat the New York Rangers in, I don't know. I think it'll be 6 games. I think it'll be a bloodbath. But I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to move on to the Eastern Conference, to the Stanley Cup Final for a 3rd straight year. So here's a bracket. There you go. I have the Minnesota Wild being the Calgary Flames and the Tampa Bay Lightning being the New York Rangers. And here you go. Here's my prediction of the Stanley Cup Final. The Minnesota Wild versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. On one side, you have the Cinderella story. Florida's potentially last year in the NHL. Kaprizov carrying the team. On the other side, you have Tampa looking for a three-peat, looking to prove all the doubters wrong and to become a true dynasty. And I think, and one of these stories have to come to an end. And I think the story that has to come to an end is the Minnesota Wild, as I think the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to dethrone that Cinderella story as they become the first dynasty since the Chicago Blackhawks. And there you go. There's your playoff bracket at the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Stanley Cup for the third straight year. And the total goals in the final series, I think there's going to be 27 goals. I think that's around 4.5 goals. I think this series is going to go to 6 games. And that's around like a 4.5 goals per game. So it's going to be like a pretty close games. So I'm going to give it 27 goals. So there's my prediction. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to win the Stanley Cup. So what do you think of my prediction? Make sure to leave a comment down below. Tell me your predictions. As always, I'm Florida Man. Bye, everybody. Okay, make sure to watch the NHL playoffs. And peace out, all NHL fans out there.